right, I think I just found what I was working on.
Hello?
Yeah, I got you. I got you. We'll start here in just a second.
Okay.
What's good, world? Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind Bite Down Boxing live stream. Like I've been tweeting out on Twitter, got a special guest tonight. Another Toledo fighter out in Vegas looking to do some damage and kind of upset or shake things up. We'll get to all of that in just a second. I had to I did some update on my computer last night, and a couple of things were not right, so I'm getting them together right now. But here we go. You on there, Cassius?
Yeah, I'm on here, big dog. How you doing?
All right, all right. Let me get started here in just a second, man. I got something a little out of order.
Okay.
All right, all right. So let me bring my man in. His name is Cassius ThunderCat Anderson, fighting out of Toledo, Ohio. 7-1 heavyweight. What's good, man?
What's going on, man? Pleasure to be here.
Now, so you're out in Vegas, correct?
Yeah, we out in Vegas, Sin City.
All right, all right. So what's the you getting settled in and whatnot? You got a big task ahead of you this week. So what's your first impression of a fight week? With Tyson Fury is the headliner here, but you got your own situation going on. We'll get into that in just a second. But what's the first impression for you?
The biggest thing is just getting adjusted to the time difference. It's a 3-hour time difference out this way. But to be honest, man, I know it's Tyson Fury's event or whatnot, but I'm not worried about Tyson Fury. I'm not worried about Otto Wallin. I'm focused on Guido the Speedo.
So you get this call, man. It sound now I'm talking to parts of your team offline and whatnot. It sounds like you guys aren't going into this thing the way that I've seen a couple of different quote unquote opponents for some of the different heavyweight prospects out here. It seems like you guys actually have a bit of a plan together. And so does that give you some comfort in being prepared to go up against Guido Vianello Saturday night?
Yeah, man. I think we had around about 5 weeks to prepare for this. I just look at it for what it is. This is his biggest step up. This is my biggest step up on paper. So we just have to see Saturday night.
So you drawn any inspiration, man? The last time that Tyson Fury was out in Las Vegas, we had another Toledo cat go out there and kind of do some FUTW work himself in Albert Bell, upsetting Andy Vinces. And Dre Ware's been on Showtime. He finally had his breakthrough. Are these, are seeing these things firsthand? Is that kind of inspirational to you and what you got going on?
Definitely. First off, you got Albert, man. Highly gifted athlete, man. Sensational boxer. Dre Ware, man, he's a stable man of mine. Just hard-nosed, gritty. I definitely learned a lot from those guys. And now it's my turn. I'm up next, and I'm here to follow suit.
So you get this call, man. What's walk us through what you and the team, how you guys process this opportunity.
Man, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. I was in Texas, just enjoying my family. And a real quick disclaimer: I'm not from Toledo, Ohio, but I'm fighting out of Toledo, Ohio. I'm from Baytown, Texas. So shout out to my family down in Texas. But I was back home in Texas, and Coach sent me the text. All it said was Guido Vianello, 6 rounders, Las Vegas. So my only question to him was how much time we got. He was like 6 weeks. I said, let me put my running shoes on, and that was it.
All right, all right. So I've seen him in action a couple of times myself. It's still kind of early. The jury is kind of still out on him, but he doesn't look too bad, but he doesn't look too scary. But like, he hasn't really been in there with anybody that's kind of, that's been able to really do anything in return to him. So, how do you kind of size him up and assess his abilities?
To be honest, I'm not really sizing him up at all. I'm preparing for a championship caliber fighter. That's the reason they signed him. I mean, he's an Olympian. So as far as respect, I show my respect as far as my preparation and training. But come Saturday night, it won't be no respect. I'm putting number pressure.
We got one question in the chat from my man Carlos Castillo. What's up, CC? Glad to see you could make it, man. I know I was a little late today, but he wanted to know, and you kind of stole my thunder. I was going to get into the whole Texas thing that's listed on BoxRec, but how did you end up in Toledo from Texas?
Man, to shorten the story, my brother, he actually played at the University of Toledo, and he actually is the reason I ended up out this way. I was supposed to play ball with him, but I ended up getting into some trouble. The younger me, and boxing actually helped turn my life around, man. It actually saved my life.
Okay. So what's your background with the sport? I mean, because obviously, like you said, he's got this Olympic pedigree coming into the ring with him. He is 4-0, you're 7-1. How do you offset that, kind of the experience gap?
Well, I mean, I was a highly recruited safety out of the state of Texas, out of high school and whatnot. I had several college offers, and I know he has a tennis background, so I mean, we're gonna let those two styles mesh and see what happens.
Okay, so what would you say your style is, man? I haven't had a chance to check you out in person. I'm seeing you haven't, you've had some fights in the Midwest and whatnot. But what would be your calling card in the ring?
I don't really have a style, man. My style is FSU. I don't know if we can use certain language on your page or whatnot, but I'll let you figure out that abbreviation.
Nah, we need to know what you're talking about, man. We need to know what you're talking about.
FSU, man, that's called fuck shit up. Yeah, that's what I'm on, man. I'm just in there to do damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I just mentioned, man, you just mentioned something about college football. We just recently we've just started college football season, and we're kind of in that stretch where we see a lot of these directional schools going up, going out to Death Valley and Tuscaloosa and the Shoe. And, inside the ring, we see these same kind of matchups where often, some of these opponents, they don't even really look like they've even thought about going to the gym lately. But I'm looking at you. You look like you're fight ready. That's a credit to yourself. And then height wise or tail of the tape wise, I think I was told you listed at about 6'2". Vianello's at about 6'6". So I gotta be honest, man. I mean, I'm interested in seeing, and I mean it's a personal tie-in for me here, but I'm interested in seeing what you can do, man.
Yeah, shit, I'm interested too. That's why we're here, man. I'm excited, man. I'm ready to look him in his eyes Friday. And you get to size me up, I get to size him up, and then we got a hit.
So you guys haven't been in the same room with one another to this point, right? I know you just landed. I heard earlier you were out running and whatnot, but you haven't had any chance to see him whatsoever.
Man, look, I've been out here. I've been looking. I ain't seen him, though. I haven't seen him yet.
You've been looking, huh?
Yeah, I've been looking, man. I've been looking. Anybody that looks 6'5", 6'6", I've been looking. I ain't seen him.
So, what's the ThunderCat nickname about?
Man, it's crazy. Because everyone calls me Cassius, but my mom pronounced it Cassius. And most people couldn't say Cassius, so they just called me Cat. I don't even know how I got the name, so I didn't want to sound pussy, so they put Thunder in front of it. That was my favorite cartoon growing up, man. ThunderCats.
Okay. So who's in the corner with you, man? I know earlier I was talking to a part of your team, and they mentioned that Coach Lamar Wright was headed out there to support. Will he just be in the corner, or will he be your chief second? Who's working your corner?
Well, my head trainer is Ron Greer.
Okay.
But yeah, Champ Maker, he'll be there too for sure. He's gonna be there just doing more than support. You know, he's second eyes on me. You know, I trust both guys, so whatever they say, that's what I'm gonna get out there and do. But Ron is the one that already put together the recipe. I just gotta go out and serve it.
Okay. So now, you know, how comfortable are you with what's been laid out on what you guys want to get accomplished and how you want to go about doing it?
Well, I ain't gonna get too deep into that, but like I said, I mean, it's out the gate. You know, the game plan is just to go across the ring and hit him in the mouth. You know what I mean? And just if all hell break loose, it break loose. And I got to do like your channel say, I got to bite down.
I might have to cut that up and say that for a little drop to do. But so now you saw you just mentioned that Dre Ware is your stablemate. Were you around or in the gym when he came back off of this last decision? And I mean, both of you guys have football backgrounds. He's, you know, been where you're trying to go. Did you guys discuss anything just as teammates?
We didn't really talk too much post fight. You know, I know he you know, of course, you know, losing a fight like that, I know he was taking it hard, and I was getting towards the end of my camp. You know, it's when you see something like that go on one of your teammates, you know, it does kind of bring you down. But I had to stay focused on what I had in front of me, and I know that's what he would want me to do. Yeah, man, all my everybody in our gym, we brothers, so that's my brother.
Okay. John Perryman is in the chat. Sounds like he might know you because he called you Cat, but he said, "Kill him, Cat. The whole city is behind you." Some fist emojis. Now, I know Dre's a full-time fireman. You know, are you boxing full-time or are you working? You know, what's your balance like?
Yeah, I'm kicking ass full-time, man. But I also got a kennel and clothing apparel called the Bone Squad. And actually, man, that turned out to be my fan base. So now it just stands for Loyal Family. I got a real loyal support group in Toledo and even bigger in Texas. So, you know, that's the plan, man, to handle this business, and then maybe we can do something in Texas.
Okay. I saw a picture of you and Rydell Booker on your Instagram, man. And I mean, Rydell's a pretty crafty cat. Have you had a chance to work with him for the lead up to this fight, or what fighters? I mean, I know sometimes heavyweights it's kind of difficult for you guys to get work. Who's helped get you ready for this?
Man, first off, no, I didn't get to spar with Rydell for this camp. I got him ready for his last fight, and yeah, man, he's super slick, super crafty. Taught me a lot. I got ready for with another fighter from Toledo named Paul Parker.
Okay.
Yeah, around 6'4", 6'5", and up and coming. Actually, I think he's about to turn pro soon. Jared Anderson. Look out for Jared Anderson. If you don't already look out for him now.
Okay.
He the truth.
All right, I was mentioning to one of my partners, you know, that I was speaking to you today. Kind of gave him a quick rundown of, you know, your record, what you up against. You know, we obviously kind of know what the role is. You know, like I said, they're kind of looking for you to help their guy out and groom him. Of course, you have different plans. But then, you know, you have had your first loss, or you have had one career loss. And it was a first round TKO to Terrell Jamal Woods back in, in March of 2018. Was that just, at a quick glance, was that just a matter of you maybe trying to get ahead of yourself? I mean, dude has quite a bit of experience on you.
Yeah, that was more me than anything as far as pride, man. I didn't know how to turn down anything. I'm all about Rex, so that's the fight that was in front of me. We took it, and he, you know, I actually had control of that fight, but he capitalized on his experience, and he clipped me, and you know, shit, I wasn't able to recover. And I mean, I learned a lot from that fight. I learned more from that loss than I learned from any of my wins. It just, you know, as far as building character and, you know, the people you got around you, and, you know, and can you get back on track? Can you get back out there and produce wins?
Right. Like I said, man, I just wanted to get your side of it. because like I said, it's hard to find fights, especially with some of the club shows and whatnot. But I see you've been doing your thing up in Northern Ohio, and then some opportunities inside of Detroit. So, my thinking when I was talking with your coach earlier, Ron Greer, my thinking was that Vianello hasn't ventured out to the later rounds and really hasn't been made to do, maybe get to a plan B or make any type of adjustments and whatnot. So I guess my school of thought was that you might try to dance. I'm not dance around, but just box a little bit, man, and try to extend the fight and make him show more of his game. So you just not into that? You just looking to bang and get it over with? I mean, is that it?
I mean, of course you think about that like, damn, he hasn't been past the second round. What is he going to be like in round 4, round 5, round 6? But, I mean, they say he got a streak of not going past the second round. I'm trying to keep his streak going by putting him out in the second. Or he should even earlier than that.
I like it. I like that. John Perryman says sometimes you got to lose sometimes you got to lose to win. Facts. I like that. I like that. So, like I mentioned, 7-1. What's been going on with getting things rolling up in up in the Toledo area?
Well, can you say that again? I had a hard time hearing you.
I was just asking, what's kind of been any of the challenges or kind of what's your take on your experience in getting your career rolling up in Toledo? Like I said, about 4 or 5 fights up there, and then once in Dearborn. What's your thoughts on how your career is progressing?
At first, I was down because I felt like I should have been a little further along in my career, but I mean, I have 8 fights, but I feel like I have more experience in the 8 fights that shows on my box record. And I just feel like in this fight, I mean, they would be making a huge mistake if they just looking at this as just another fight. And, we're banking on that also. I mean, if he come in there thinking it's just going to be easy peasy, he going to sleep.
Carlos Castillo's actually just asked a question where I was getting ready to go. Like I mentioned, the football background, and being a highly sought after defensive back or safety, do you think that's we've seen this before, in the heavyweight division, with a lot of guys moving over from football? What's some of the aspects of football, training for football and playing? What's some of the things that's helped transition over to boxing?
Well, I don't really look at myself as a guy that just transitioned over from football to boxing. I mean, I actually took a long hiatus from football, and I really sat down and like as far as really like learn the game and really practice on my craft. But I mean, the one thing I can say that with football help with boxing is just the physical contact of going head up with bigger guys and 6'9" guys, 300-pound guys, 280-pound guys. I'm accustomed to going against guys that are a lot larger than I am. So, I mean, him being 6'6" and whatever he weighs, I mean, I don't see it being an issue.
Okay. Have you? I know you're aware of how his fights have gone. Have you actually watched them yourself, or have you just checked them out and getting prepared for this fight?
I mean, I watched a couple, maybe a handful of times. Just kind of looking at. I don't really watch what guys do good. I watch what guys do wrong. That's how I was able to learn so fast. And I mean, I see some things that I can capitalize. I mean, if he at any point in the time gets undisciplined, I mean, the fight could be over.
Okay. Is there any?
I mean, just keeping it real, it goes both ways. I mean, shit, this heavyweight boxing. So we both got to be on our shit.
Got you. So when were you? Well, actually, I think so. Just to make it clear, my thoughts to for anybody that checks out the video. I do believe this fight will be part of what's streamed on ESPN Plus. Vianello has been a guy that Top Rank has been grooming. So, I just don't see why, with this being an ESPN Plus card, they usually do two different streams, one for the preliminary stuff, and then they kind of jump off to a second stream for for kind of like the televised stream and whatnot. So I do believe it's a good chance that anybody that clicks on this, you will be able to check this out. There was one other question that I wanted to get with you before I got off of here, and I just kind of forgot it while I was talking. Damn. That is my bad. But anyway, well, what's your interest? I know you mentioned earlier, you didn't have any, you're not here for the Tyson Fury, the Tyson Fury show and for his main event and everything. You out here for your own interests and whatnot. But, I would imagine that you'd have to take in something, with the fight in terms of just the magnitude of it, maybe the press that's around or just, the different events that are out there for fight week. Is there anything, that you just might observe just to put away for down the road?
Yeah, like as far as just watching, how the press around the champ and stuff like that. I was soaking that stuff up. I ain't a groupie. I'm never starstruck or anything like that. I look at him like anybody else. Like one day he could be food, and that's just how I look at any man. He's just a man. He's just a man with money. And but I'm definitely gonna watch the fight. He's super skilled. He's super talented. He's a very funny guy. Tyson Fury, the truth. But like I said, all these guys food. Anybody that's in front of me is food. Got
you. We had another question from the chat from Carlos again. Are you looking to go to this guy's body, being that given his height? Would that be a part of your attack?
Yes, I'm trying to flood the basement. I'm going to the body.
What's your outlook on the heavyweight game right now? A couple of weeks ago, I had another prospect on, Stephen Shaw, out of St. Louis. And it was interesting getting to hear his outlook towards the division. How do you look at the opportunities that are out there?
Well, I always know that you one punch away, from fulfilling your dreams. It's just actually doing it, getting there and putting yourself in that position so that you can get in those big fights. Like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder and Joshua, they ain't really get to where they got just sitting on their ass. They had to put themselves in position. So I'm trying to do the same thing. We all got different roads to the pinnacle of the sport, man. We just got to stay on our path. So that's what I'm trying to do.
All right. Man, I really wish I could figure out what the hell this question was, but I got another guest coming up after you, and I was trying to text her, and can't seem to. Nothing is kind of firing and bringing it up, and it was a very important question. So weigh-ins are. Is that your expectation for your first eye-to-eye or confrontation with Vianello? Will be the weigh-in probably Friday?
Yeah, we get to get a good look at each other, and then that'll be it. And it's on and popping.
Do you get the sense at all? I don't know how much Top Rank or anybody from Top Rank has been in touch with you or your team, but do you get the sense that you're being overlooked a little bit or disregarded a little bit? Or does it even matter?
I think I'm being disregarded a lot, and it's not just with Top Rank or just people in general. But I can care less, man. I look at this like it's already written, and what's for you is gonna be there if it's meant to be. You feel me?
Got you. John Perryman said, "Watch Cassius fight highlights. He's very underrated, but not for long." Damn, man, I really wish I could remember what the hell this question was.
You got to remember something, big dog, because I'm actually right now, I'm about to get a massage, and I'm actually a little late.
Well, what's the final word, man? Like I said, I got another guest coming on, and we about 10 minutes past on her. What's the final word, man?
Man, Man, the final word is everybody tune in. Hopefully everything's streaming on ESPN Plus Saturday. And hey, man, I'm going out there. I'm going for broke, man. I'm gambling with the house money. So I just want to thank you for taking the time out and letting me come on your platform and sharing your platform with me. And I appreciate it, my brother. God bless you.
Thanks, man. Like I said, I appreciate it. And Ron reached out to me last week. And, I don't disregard anybody, man. I appreciate everybody's time that want to come on and rock. I had a chance to kind of go through your Instagram profile and get to know some things about you, man. I see a family, man, hearing you talk. And just read through some of your captions, man. I feel like you got your head on right. And so I'm hoping for the best Saturday night, man.
Oh, man, I appreciate that, bro.
All right, man. Enjoy that enjoy that massage, and good luck out there Saturday night.
All right, man. Thank you, man. Enjoy your day.
Yo, take care. All right, as I mentioned, I got another guest coming on. It's kind of backwards of how I envisioned it, but because I knew, not too many people know who Cassius is. That's not his fault. But like I said, I did want to get him on. His manager took the time to reach out to me, and you want to come on and rock, and I appreciated that. So I definitely wanted to get him in and talk to him. Also this weekend on Saturday night is an important women's fight up in at the Hulu Theater in Madison Square Garden, and featuring Heather Hardy, who's a WBO featherweight champion and 7-division champion, Amanda Serrano. And I kind of wanted to get some. I wanted to hit on the women's game a little bit, so I'm gonna get this guest on really quickly. I'm gonna text her real quick and get her to call in. But it's Alycia Baumgardner, also based pretty much out of Toledo. So give me just a second, and I'm gonna get that going. And we'll get her on and kind of get her take on what's going on with her, as well as taking a look at this matchup Friday, and maybe a little bit more than that. Give me just a second here. All right. Look, she just called and something popped up and I couldn't get to it. Here she comes now. So let me get her in here and we'll start with Alycia Baumgardner. Hello?
Hello?
What's good, AB?
What's good? What's poppin'?
How you been?
Yeah, I've been good, running, training, staying ready.
You've been a bit of a gym rat lately, staying busy and traveling all over the place. And I kind of wasn't sure where to kind of try to pick back up with you and get some good news and see what's going on. But I like that you're staying active and sharing everything that's going on. So that's excellent. Um,
Yeah.
what has been going on? Who you? I see working with different people. Kind of what are you what's going on with you career wise right now?
Well, right now, I'm still training in Detroit. I'm over at Super Bad Fitness, which is Tony Harrison's gym. So I'm over there training. I'm also training in Splash City when I run through there um, with Coach Marcos and my coach Ali from Detroit. So staying busy, just staying in the gym, waiting on a fight date. We possibly might have a fight date next month. Um, Definitely want to get 2 fights before the end of the year, and just stay active. So that's pretty much what's been going on.
Okay. When you're away from the when you're away from live action this much, and you're stuck in the gym zone, what are you taking the time to really sharpen up right now?
Everything, mentally, physically. Um, Again, I always like to work out and to stay in the gym, and just working on everything. It's going to be a new proof. If there's always a new proof, AD, a new skin to shed, and it's definitely looking really good. I'm really proud of myself so far and what I'm accomplishing. I'm just working. With boxing, it's a skill, and there's always room for improvement. So I'm seeing constant changes every day, every week, every month. So that's what I definitely like to see.
All right. I'll put you on the spot a little bit. A couple of months ago, watching that last Michaela Mayer fight, I saw a pretty spicy tweet from you that was a little bit out of character. So I thought you might have been getting frustrated or something. But you
Oh
said
no! Can you refresh this? Yeah, go ahead. Refresh that tweet.
you said
I
you
forget.
said Michaela and her opponent. You said neither one of them had any work for you.
No, I'm not impressed by either one. To be honest with you, I just know what I'm capable of, and I know just with her fighting that I've seen, I'm not impressed. So I mean, definitely not out of character. It's definitely how I feel, and yeah.
You guys, through the amateurs or anything, you guys ever been in the ring together or anything? Any tournaments?
No, we never. No, no, never got to fight. I thought maybe I was gonna fight her at the National Pal in California, um, and she ended up moving up to 140, and I ended up fighting at I think 32. So we never got to meet, but I think it was perfect the way it worked out, and that fight could possibly happen next year. I think that'd be a great fight for women's boxing, and definitely at the 130 division.
Okay. Now, I never heard anything definitively on what was going on or what the status of Real Deal Promotions and whatnot. I know that's where you were. Is that officially now defunct?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. The Bucks definitely have a release. I'm a free agent right now.
Okay. Okay. So, I know I've seen you with your manager before. I think that is Raynello.
Yeah.
So, kind of, what's the next step then? In terms of promotionally speaking, what's the next step for you?
Um, yeah. So we have a lot of options on the table, and right now, we got 4 months left of this year, and staying active is something that's important. And so, like I mentioned, if we can get 2 fights in before the end of the year, hope maybe even 3, that's something that we want to do. So we have a lot of options to look at. And then again, next year is definitely I feel like this year is still prepping season for me. And coming the new year, it's definitely going to be released, you say.
Okay. I know next month, October 5th, Claressa has her bid for becoming a three division champion, faster than any other
Mm-hmm.
fighter in the game. Kind of. I know you guys have a relationship and whatnot. You ever go up there and work with her, or when you're doing anything in Michigan?
No, if I'm not mistaken, I think she trains in Florida.
As soon as I
So,
asked you that, I was like, damn, she's in Florida. But go ahead.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, we haven't ran into each other at all. But yeah, I think she trains in Florida. So,
What's your
I mean,
thoughts?
I'm always down to get to work.
What's your thoughts on what she's doing in terms of moving down to yet another division, and kind of having to go and find meaningful fights?
I feel like for her, there's not much. She's accomplished a lot, especially at the weight that she feels comfortable fighting at. So going down to 154 is just another accomplishment under her belt. And staying relevant in women's boxing. You definitely have to have the fights, and definitely she brings that attention to the game.
So I could imagine on fight night you'll be in the building to support that. Any chance? I'm seeing some different fighters from the area, and obviously they look to bring in some local people. Any chance that you could pop up on that card?
Yeah, possibly. Definitely could be an option. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of things on the table, discussing with my manager. So if that's the case, everybody definitely will know.
Okay. One thing that I noticed recently, we've talked about modeling before, and your relationship with Adidas and whatnot. I saw where you had a recent campaign that you launched and all. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So definitely love working with Adidas, and then representing boxing and Adidas boxing at that, and it's just a way for me to work outside the gym and outside the ring, and to do what I love. You can make your money in the ring. You can also make it out the ring. So I'm definitely blessed with the opportunity to work with Adidas and Adidas women, and all around the whole Adidas campaign.
All right. So let's talk about this fight Saturday. Now this isn't too far away from you, with these ladies fighting at featherweight. I'll be honest,
Right.
I'm gonna keep it funky. I haven't seen a whole lot of either one of them, but I have seen 2 to 3 fights, I believe, of each. How do you see this one playing out?
I definitely, it's kind of tough. I can see if Amanda presses the issue, I see her stopping Heather. But if Heather sticks in there, I see it possibly going to decision. But it also, again, it's up to the ref to see what type of, beat down I feel like Heather Hardy is going to get. I mean, I feel like Amanda Turner is definitely going to put the heat on her. So that's how I see it going either way.
Do you have any concern and whatnot? I mean, to look at all of the the weight classes that Amanda has went up and down. I think she just went down as low as or from, I want to say it was like lightweight or maybe junior lightweight, all the way down to like, what was that, flyweight or something, for her last belt. Now to be coming up. Is there any any after effects of that type of? I mean, it's unprecedented, on the men's side. Do you think there's any after effects that could have?
For women, for her going like doing multiple classes, weight classes.
Yeah, jumping around the weight divisions like that.
I mean, yeah, there's always risks that you take with that, but again, that individual should know what they're doing and should understand the safety that goes into doing that. So, each their own. So she knows what she's doing. Kudos to her. But again, it's a safety measure that each person has to take accountable for.
Do you think that could possibly be Heather Hardy's best strategy or best approach to this fight, is to maybe do whatever she's going to do early, because there's a possibility that Serrano could kind of be figuring out where she is physically?
Yeah, that could definitely play a factor, and then you'll definitely see that in the fight. Fatigue-wise, if it goes past, the fifth, sixth round, to see both fighters' stamina and power with their punches. So I think it'll definitely show in the ring if it goes past, the sixth round.
All right, I got one question in the chat. I'm gonna get to that in just a second before I forget another question tonight. I wanted to ask, did you see the Jalen Love situation on Twitter? Making his comment on Heather Hardy's shadowboxing video. Did you check that out?
I didn't. Nope. But I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if he commented on it, but I'm kind of curious what he said.
It wasn't too harsh, but so what happened quickly, Jalen came in on the shadow boxing and just said that it's some obvious flaws there, and that it needs to be corrected immediately or something like that. And then a passionate fan of the women's game came in and asked him who the hell was he. And then boxing writer and announcer or commentary guy Michael Woods came in and kind of defended Heather Hardy, who he has a relationship with, is pretty close to. And then him and Jalen went back and forth just a little bit, and Jalen just left it at, she's dropping her left hand, and I'm just being constructive. Like I said, it wasn't egregious, but
right. My comments on that is to keep it short and simple. When someone knows boxing, they see boxing and they see a style, they see a form. It's automatically picked up. So if he's seen that, a lot of people are seeing it, and he just voiced his opinion, about it. And I don't see no lie in it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it was the worst thing that could be said. I just know that with the women's game kind of trying to make some inroads in terms of its popularity, and with this kind of being a high-profile fight and whatnot, and just because a guy comes over and says something, it's going to become confrontational. But then, Heather came back in at the end of it and said that she wasn't offended at all. And she said, I'm not perfect. She was like, it's just some light shadow boxing and whatnot. And, it is what it is. But I will say, even me and my novice eye, it's some things that concern me a little bit. But, being graceful and slick and all of that, that's really not her game. But it just when I got to taking a look at what the outcome could be Saturday night, some of what you just said with Serrano having a chance to kind of run away with it, kind of crept into my mind.
Right. With that fight, I'm happy for both women. I'm happy for Heather Hardy to get the opportunity, because I know how hard it is in the women's game just to get the recognition. And so I'm happy for them, to get the opportunity to do that. But like you were saying, I definitely see it leaning more towards Serrano coming out with the win.
Gotcha. All right, John Perryman in the chat said, good luck, AB. Keep doing what you're doing. Motivation. Carlos Castillo asked, first of all, let's go back. He asked, how do you balance the modeling stuff with boxing? Seems like a core strategy for Mayor as well.
How do I balance it? Easy, when it comes to those workouts with Adidas. I'm working out, so I'm in the gym. So like I get to go to different gyms to get a workout in. So just finding that balance is always key for me, and so I make sure that I'm staying on top of myself as far as working out.
All right. And then Carlos and me and you have already covered this before, but some new ears might get onto it. But how did you get started in boxing?
Well, after wrestling, I wrestled from 5, or I started wrestling at 5. And then when that was over, my dad introduced boxing to me at 8. And I fell in love with the sport. I've been in competitive sports my whole life. Competing with men, and boxing was just another combat sport that just intrigued me. So I love it and I enjoy it. It's my passion. And till this day.
So, will you be watching the fight Saturday night?
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely look forward to boxing. I got nothing else to do. So boxing's always on the agenda if it's on.
Okay. I asked because one, the zone is kind of seems like they're kind of becoming a leader, in working some women's fights into what they're doing. I guess
Mm-hmm.
what they have the Golden Boy. No, I'm sorry, getting off speed there. When is that? Is that Friday night? No, that's Saturday. Okay. So anyway, what I wanted to ask was, are you kind of amazed at the fan of boxing or just combat sports in general that Claressa Shields is? I mean, it seems like everything I'm watching, I feel like I'm watching with Claressa Shields.
Yeah, I mean, I think for her, she's staying relevant, and that's what you have to do in this sport, especially being a woman in the game. So staying relevant is key.
Okay. Now you have the background, you've trained and worked. You went over a year and a half or so ago, whatever it was. You went over and worked with Cecilia Brækhus. Claressa Shields is kind of throwing that fight out there and, and making the effort to move down to try to make that fight feasible. Do you think that comes off or not?
Definitely not. I think it's just talk. Again, being relevant, putting it in the air, putting it in people's ears, people who know boxing, and someone who wants to protect their record. They're gonna play it smart. So I see her doing one more fight and then retiring.
So in your opinion, the main hurdle in that fight is Brækhus is on the way out, is in your opinion?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I think the new girls are up and coming, and they're just on a bigger and better level. And we're coming with the heat. We're competitive, and I think that's definitely pushing the other ones out the way.
Yeah, I just when that first started kind of picking up a little bit, I just didn't get the sense that that's where Brækhus was in her journey in boxing. It just didn't kind of make sense. John Perryman, who just said the very motivational thing, just threw it out there. AB versus Claressa. You trying to go up 15, 16 pounds?
Look, I'll fight at 54.
All right, we'll let that happen organically. So look, if you had your way, you were in the ring back in May, short night of work.
Mm-hmm.
Short night of work, first round stoppage. If it was up to you, where would you like your next fight to be?
I would like my next fight to be in New York. I'm pretty, I got a lot of fan base in Ohio and Detroit and Philly. And I think New York would be an awesome place to fight. There's a lot of girls from over that way. And being in New York would be, it's popular for boxing. So hopefully that will happen in the future. I see it happening, but definitely New York.
Okay. I thought last time we mentioned, I thought you said you were a pretty decent fan of Vasily Lomachenko.
Yeah, Yeah. Mhm.
What'd you think about
Yeah.
this? What'd you think about this recent outing? Him winning that vacant IBF title over the UK's Luke Campbell. What'd you think about it?
I think it was a great fight for the fans. Luke Campbell definitely held his ground throughout the fight. But I think the fans want to see Lomachenko step up. We want to see more. We want to see that action-packed fight, like with a Tank and a Lomachenko. I think I see Devin Haney talk about fighting him. I think that would be more appealing to the fans, just to get the hype out there. But overall, great performance. He's always nice to watch.
Well, looking out, from that performance, I mean, we continue to have more and more people. It's kind of polarizing. You have people that think, it's greatness that we're watching, and then of course on the other end of that, we have people who still have their questions. And I guess there's a faction out there where he can't do much right. It's that group out there too. What's your thoughts on him facing the winner of Richard Comey or Teofimo Lopez? How do you see both of those guys seem to have, or maybe more so Comey has a size advantage on him, and it's supposed to be a he's a touted puncher, power in both hands. How do you see Lomachenko sizing up or matching up with either one of those guys?
I definitely see it being a good fight. I've seen Comey and Teofimo both great fighters. So I think they bring a little different type of style. But again, Lomachenko, he's good at what he does. So I think it's been making making the change to fight him. So I definitely see a good fight, though. It's always a good fight with a Lomachenko fight. But I definitely think it would be a good matchup, whoever the winner is, out of Comey and Teofimo.
Okay. All right. Well, look, man, I'm not going to hold you up. I do appreciate your time. It's kind of short notice, but like I said, actually, do you have any, are you familiar or with Cassius Anderson at all? I know you're up in the Toledo area quite a bit. Have you seen the guy in action or training?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I know Cassius. Awesome person. I know he's out there in Vegas, right?
Yep,
Vegas. Yep. I'm really happy for him to have this opportunity, and I'm just excited for him. Been in the gym with him, trained with him, so I'm just really excited that he gets the opportunity.
Now, you may not know a whole lot about his opponent, but he's a guy. He's an Olympian. He's just 4 fights in, 6'6". Doesn't move too bad, for a Euro guy. We're still kind of, learning about him and whatnot. What kind of shot do you give Cassius to pull this thing off, pull off an upset?
I give it all to him. I feel like with anybody can pull an upset. I feel like this year's been plenty of upsets in boxing, and as long as he stays focused and keeps to the game plan, he can come out victorious. I've seen his work ethic in the gym, and just who he is as a person. So definitely see him taking the win.
You've seen the guy up close and personal. You mentioned seeing him in the gym. Is that something that you're kind of, or let me get your reaction to it. It seems like with a lot of these heavyweight prospects that promoters or networks are trying to groom, it's not always a good look for the sport of boxing, the physical condition of the opponents. Some of these guys, the Bizball guy on the PBC show a couple of weeks ago against Sanchez, the guy Cotto that was in DC against Cassius Chaney. At least when I look at this guy right here, he has a football background. I feel like Vianello is going to be in there with an athlete.
Yeah. I guess we just have to see.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said I guess I will just have to see.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if I heard your question or yeah.
All right. Well, look, What's what can fans of Alycia Baumgardner expect? What's the final word from you to your following and the people out here rooting for you?
Yeah, so definitely expect me to have a fight before the end of the year. Definitely look forward to just what another side of women boxing is. I feel like people have only seen one side of it, and I definitely bring something different. But again, being in the ring will show that. And so just as much as I'm anxious to get in the ring, I know my fans are anxious to see me fight. And to really let them know that I'm a fighter first and a model second, however you want to see it. And I'm training, staying ready, and until that time comes, I'll definitely let everybody know. And I'm very thankful for everyone who supports me.
Do you think you've kind of very quietly maybe raised the focus on fitness a little bit? I'm starting to see a couple of more Instagram feeds with bikinis on and whatnot, and some fighters that didn't kind of have these physiques, a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I mean, I work hard. I work hard every day, and my physique is my art piece. It's what I work on every day. I can sculpt it the way I want to, and it's just something that I like to look at. Me personally, that I put the work in, and also for women to be motivated. You can either hate or be motivated by it. Say, you know what, I want to work out. I want to look good. It's all about feeling good, and I love to feel good, and I like to look good. So, and I say that in a humble way. But I also work hard. I work very, very hard to have the physique that I want. And, but yeah. Plus, I don't like the women. So if I can wear, sports bra and shorts all day, I definitely will. I definitely like working out outside and staying in the heat.
Now, have you heard any, has any word gotten back to you, of people not too fond, some people not too fond of, kind of this aspect of you that you can benefit from?
Oh, not at all. I haven't heard anything.
Okay. One more question.
I haven't heard anything. I'm curious, no, but it is funny though. But I don't care because, again, you can either be hated or you can either hate or be motivated. So it don't bother me none. Because I can fight. That's the thing. That's the difference. People they paint a picture about somebody and they might see something like that they're gonna paint a picture. But the difference is I can fight. I don't just look good. I can fight. You know what I'm saying? And that's my biggest attribute. So,
what's kind of your take on with Claressa Shields going down from this going down from super middleweight, getting down here to the 154? It seems like I don't know if it's a mind game or whatnot, but it's some jabs that are taken by some of her opponents at her size and whatnot. Is that, you think that's just something to get her off her game?
As far as what?
I don't know. Just everybody knows if she signs the contract to make 154, then she's taking the steps to make that 154. But it just seemed like, and then the fight with Christina Hammer, it seemed like they wanted to poke around with the weight issue, and it just seemed kind of useless to me.
Right. So you're saying, her coming down in 154?
Well, I just mean, have you kind of been impressed with how she's managed that, and it's not really it really hasn't been an issue for her.
I think she got another month out,
roughly,
if I'm not mistaken. Look, that another month will say a lot. Then you know what I'm saying. With me cutting weight and getting down, even I made the lowest I made is 27. That's a lot of weight, So, I mean, so far so good. I mean, again, if she has someone in the right corner, showing her properly how to cut weight, and again, Clarissa did her thing at the higher weight classes, so she definitely wants to have another accomplishment at 154. And I wish her nothing but, safety for coming down that low.
All right. This final question from the chat, since people were nice enough to tune in and check us out, Carlos Castillo asked, what does women's boxing need right now to push it to the next level?
Ooh, great question. Right now, women's boxing needs, it needs recognition. I feel like, yes, it gets it, but I also feel like the men are one of the biggest ones to make it happen. We have men that fight on TV all the time, and I believe that the men should push for the women to be on the card. We have great fights. We'll take a low pay just to be on TV because we want to be recognized for our hard work that we put in. And also, if the men realize that maybe one day that their daughter may want to box, they would want the best promoter and the best option for their daughter. And it starts with the generation, us, to have those young girls look at and to know if they can do it, I can do it. But it has to start somewhere. So I feel like men should be pushing for women to be on a card. And I also believe they should be putting in consideration if their daughter wanted to box one day, that they would want the best for them. So, and it starts with looking up to people. Clarissa Shields being one of them, me being one of them, Katie Taylor being one of them. These young girls need more than one person to look up to because we all have different stories. I think that's the biggest thing that's going to push women's boxing is if the men are pushing for women's boxing as just as much.
Any thoughts on kind of, we're a week out from the U.S. Open, and it was so much, it was pure adulation, on the 15-year-old Coco Gauff. And it seems like the women's game, has so much, generates so much buzz during the U.S. Open. Looking at how that happens, what's your reaction to seeing it in that sport, but the struggle, the uphill battle, that you guys have in the boxing game, as you just kind of, touched on?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. The women are hungry. These young girls are hungry. They see Clarissa Shields, a two-time gold medalist. They see Katie Taylor. They're hungry, and they know if they work hard, they can get there. But we need that extra push. We need the promoters paying attention to us. We need the men pushing for us. So I'm not surprised that these young girls are coming heavy and looking good while doing it. And they need a shot, just like the guys are getting a shot.
Quickly before you get off of here to help us out, what's maybe 2 or 3 fighters, weight class or so below you, but are ones to watch in your opinion?
Ones to watch, in my opinion?
Yeah, if I'm not putting you on the spot. I know it's some West Coast girls out there that I'm not that familiar with, but I do see them online. Anybody that you would throw out there, for men to get, develop an interest in.
Yeah, so I definitely have my homegirl, if I'm not mistaken, Celine Yabrina.
Okay.
She's a pro boxer. She's 10-0. She's a flyweight. She definitely shows me love on the gram and just supporting women's boxing. She's one of the girls. Definitely. That's what I can think of right now. Top of my head.
I'm about to say I didn't have you on here 30 minutes and then throw some question out there like that. That's my bad. But look, you already said your last. You already said your last words and whatnot, so I'm gonna let you get on off of here. But I do appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back in action.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, take care, sis.
All righty.
All right, for those that stuck around to the end, man, I was gonna get into some thoughts out there that I had about let me get that off of there real quick. Some thoughts that I had about the unified heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz. But I mean, we're over an hour now, so I think I might just do a morning wood drop on that before I head out to work in the morning. I think kind of got to be cognizant that when you're throwing your opinion out here, when you don't unintentionally just not speaking about both sides, it can be the perception that you're more so in favor of the other fighter than the other fighter. And I just wanted to take a second and really speak on Andy Ruiz Jr. I know I've kind of spoken more on Anthony Joshua, and now that the fight is definitely signed, we're getting that in December. Thanks, CC. If you're getting out of here, man, thanks for tuning in. But I was just going to say, I guess I really haven't said a whole lot about, although I think I did an article on what's next for Andy Ruiz. But I guess I'm just not, there's nothing to be worried about Ruiz. Like, there's no one, he doesn't really have to prove too much to anybody. He's kind of not being, he's not facing unrealistic expectations, except for those people that are out there, chastising the man about his body, his body and his, his build and all of that. I think that's kind of foolish at this point. I mean, the guy is 33-1 or whatever, and a unified champion of the world. So I would think he would kind of shake off even addressing that issue anymore. I mean, he is what he is. But I guess like I said, one thing that I mentioned kind of on my takeaways from the Lomachenko fight, something that I really dug about and admired about Lomachenko's game is like it's almost like Lomachenko can figure his way out of most situations. You don't have to. It seems like he can travel. He can go across the pond. He can fight taller guys. He can overcome quite a bit. He can get hurt. He can figure out. He can get to plan B, plan C. It just seems like he's in total control in there. And I'll repeat it again. I do want to see all of that against Gervonta Davis's offense at some point, or Comey or Lopez. But with Andy Ruiz, I think he convinced me in getting up in that third round and doing what he did over the next few rounds before stopping Anthony Joshua in the seventh round. He does just seem like one of those fighters who is prepared for everything. And I think that's going to bode well for him. It's not going to bother him that they're in this makeshift stadium over in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia. Who knows what that crowd sounds like, how they react to to action and whatnot. But I don't see any of this really bothering Andy Ruiz. So I really hadn't had much analysis to get out there or thoughts on where he is with anything, because the guy mentioned he's been fighting since he's 6. He's been in the ring with Evander Holyfield. I mean, he's been at this a long time, and like I said, he's got a lot of tools to work with. So that's that. Like I said, man, this is over an hour, so I'm not gonna get fully into my thoughts on Andy Ruiz, but I am looking forward to doing some some content in the future, kind of taking a look at that matchup and getting into who my pick is and so on and so forth. So again, man, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. John Perryman, Carlos Castillo, I think Ron Greer was in here earlier, who's a trainer of Cassius Anderson. Cassius Anderson. I appreciate Alycia Baumgardner calling in, checking in tonight. I wish I would have had a little bit more organized to talk through with her. But I want to wish ThunderCat well Saturday night. Like I said, man, the dude looks fight ready. It is some brighter lights, although it'll probably be pretty empty in there, I would imagine, by the time their fight goes off. Maybe 40% capacity or whatever, or who even knows what the ticket sales are. I haven't looked into that, what's going on, for Fury and Wallin. But I wish that brother well, man. Hell of an opportunity. And it is a year of upsets, so that bodes well for him. Let me get on out of here. My wife is going to kill me. Enjoy the fights this weekend and, stay up. And like I mentioned at the end of everything, man, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And bite down boxing, don't let them count you out. Peace.
See, I've been hustling for a long time. Long flights, long days, my nigga, long nights. Fuck friends, I don't need them, that shit be all hype. Dog fight, walk bite, I'm talking on site. Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett, let's set it off right. Mind your business, you should only flex if the time's right. Fuck these bitches, bad decisions come from the wrong type. Now it's murder, she roll, it's nothing personal, no. Sky is you, ayy. I got the world in my hands, I drop my nuts on the turf. And if I spoke of my plans, it take way more than a verse. I put my family first, though my family curse. And my city is dry, but them hammers will squirt. I put a lock on my temple before I walk into work. I done so much dirt, I be scared to walk in the church. When the world play against you, remember who kept it 100. Never talk down to your brother, especially to a woman. Seem like niggas steer away from this code we follow. Make a real motherfucker's heart cold and hollow. Every L I bounce back like MJ in the clutch. I build all relationships on dedication and trust. For a long time, long flights, long days, my nigga, long nights. Fuck friends, I don't need them, that shit be all hype. Dog fight, walk bite, I'm talking on site. Queen Latifah, Jada